I'm saying we are all trapped on this little rock called Earth.
Yeah, but how did they get across the Bering Sea? They have to get.
How did we get across the Bering Sea? Bigfoot got to go the same way.
On this episode of BLB, Jake and Adam interview John Warren.
I think it's hearsay. Of course, I don't believe in God either. You got no evidence.
I'll be squatching.
You got no evidence. You got no nothing.
Something done. You want it done right, you gotta do it yourself. All these jokers on TV, they can't find Bigfoot. Well, we're gonna do it. I've got a really good feeling about where we're headed. You know, the direction, you can't really see it when you get started, you know. You don't really know where it's going, you know. A lot of these things have just come in out of the ether. You know, things are starting to fall into place, and it's all kind of pointing you in a certain direction. One of the directions we're going to discover later on, where we're going to get to talk to Mr. John Warren, who's had his foot in the door a long time up here in the Adirondacks. We're going to try to put our fingers on the pulse of the blue line.
We've only been doing this for a really short while, very short while, but we've done a little bit of research. We've done a little homework, so to speak. I've been searching around the internet. So has Jake. We've been checking out online, looking for, you know, people in the Adirondacks that might know a little bit about stuff in the Adirondacks. John Warren came to mind after we saw his piece there on the online. Are you pretty excited here?
Oh yeah.
Boy. Fucking beautiful day today. I'm really interested in seeing what he has to say.
This guy, he's got the potential to have quite a bit of information for us. He might have run across a lot of people or a lot of things. You never know.
I kind of have the feeling that he's going to be somebody who is a non-believer. I'm good. All right. Got a lot of gear here. Let's do this. We're gonna be. We don't. I think we need this. Hey.
There he is.
How are you?
I'm good.
You must be John.
I am.
Nice to meet you.
You guys just missed Bigfoot. He just left.
Yeah, right.
That's good. You know, you'd have to be crazy to really come up with a Bigfoot story and stick with it. I've heard a few. You know, I've heard a few Bigfoot stories in the years I've been here. You know, over Black Mountain Way, on Lake George, over on the backside, over in Washington County. My family's been here in the Adirondacks a long time, since back in the 70s. My early 70s, my father was a fishing guide in Lake George. And my grandfather helped build the ski jumps in Lake Placid, and awesome. They worked also on the Northway when it came through. And but we lived down in eastern Rensselaer County, which is a mountainous area. A few Squatch sightings down there. I even thought maybe I saw one time.
This goes like this. This goes like this. This goes like this, like this.
I like the way that goes.
Just like this. This. Adam, you got your
You got that there, yeah.
Here we are, BLB back in the Warren County chapter, Chestertown actual. Here with Mr. John Warren. Thanks for meeting with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's go back to the day, again, you say you maybe you saw Bigfoot one day. Whereabouts were you?
Well, this was down in eastern Rensselaer County, and it was not in the Adirondacks, but it was in Averill Park, and we were walking home. We had to take the bus. We had to walk from the bus home quite a distance, and we always walked along the same road. And we'd oftentimes stop. There was a little spot where we would pop off the road and, you know, maybe
Think about things.
Yeah, do what kids do. So we were in there, and sure enough, we heard a noise, and we saw a looked like a very tall figure off. It was kind of dusky because it was very difficult to see, you know, and it was quite a ways away. But it was a tall figure, and he seemed to be lanking along through the woods.
Did he hear anything unusual in the woods? What kind of sounds did he hear? And was there a smell, or odors, or anything that you can recall? Or
There were no smells or odors or sound. It was kind of far off, and it was just really a rustling of leaves. But you know, we saw him. You know, he seemed tall. See, the thing is, you know, most like Bigfoot sightings are like that, right? Nobody sees Bigfoot like, you know, 3 feet away from them. They're all like, you know, through the woods, you know, 300 yards, and you got all this video that's you know, never seems to be taken from the right spot. What's that famous Bigfoot video? The famous Bigfoot film.
the Patterson footage?
The Patterson footage.
Yeah.
Well, you can't forget about Gimlin. He was there too. The Patterson Gimlin footage. People call it he was there.
Well, let's think about the In Search of reenactment. You know, wasn't there a lady doing dishes who saw the Bigfoot kind of right outside her kitchen window? That's kind of a close encounter Bigfoot story. But
I guess, yeah. I don't remember that one. The close encounter. The what do you call that? What was it? In search of. Around here, there's not enough room for Bigfoot. There's not enough turf. I don't think. The most remote place in the Adirondacks is like 5.3 miles from a road. So wherever he is, he's close to a road.
anyway.
Yeah. So it's a big park, but there's you know, the odds of crossing a road are pretty good. I mean, you know, you got to figure Squatch's probably got. I mean, what does it need? 200 square miles just to feed itself? It's 7 or 8 foot. It's got, right.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of food. I think, you know, his odds of getting hit by a car or you know, or even if he's elusive, he's got to cross roads, and by now, all these years of Sasquatch out there, one of them would have had to been hit by a car. I mean, it's been 100 years of cars. If there is Sasquatch, it's living, you know, like you say, in a remote area. It's got to be really remote, I would think. Otherwise, you know, you would see tracks all the time.
What if it's alien?
People are out. If it's alien,
Predator technology. Say he's got a little wrist thing that turns himself invisible. Bam! Next thing you know, walks right by us, plain daylight. We don't see nothing.
I am skeptical of Bigfoot. There's no doubt about it. I think you got to have enough breeding population, you know, and you'd see him. There'd be some tracks. You know, Bigfoot. I heard that the first Bigfoot sighting was in like 1958, and it was that's where they coined the term Bigfoot. Was in 1958 in California, and they you know, that turned out to be a hoax. Turned out to be someone had left big footprints in the woods, and but it went across this nation, you know, as Bigfoot. That was the first time.
We are all trapped on this little rock called Earth.
Yeah, but how did
So
they get
all
across
humans,
the Bering Sea? They have to get.
How did we get across the Bering Sea? Bigfoot got to go the same way.
The thing is too that you know, just because there wasn't talk about Bigfoot until '58, if you go back to the Indians and look at and listen to their ancestry and what the stories passed on throughout all their generations, they've all got these stories of this man from the mountains, this mountain man, the man of the wild, the guardian of the forest. You know, they didn't have newspapers to document it. They had, you know, their songs and their stories throughout the years, passed on from generation to generation. And
all right, so if they were around that long,
what you call oral tradition?
The oral tradition, yeah. And that's where they got Sasquatch from, right? That's an Indian word, right? Okay. I mean, that's what I learned from you know, $6 Million Man. So they've been around that long. Then why aren't there any bones? I mean, we got bones from animals millions of years ago piling up in museums. You can go to a museum and see all kinds of animals from millions of years ago. Why don't we have any Sasquatch bones?
Oh, I have a couple real good answers for that one. You know, a lot of the bones that you're talking about that are building up museums are fossilized. We also know that there's been a lot of different species of animals that have evolved and been here since then. Okay? Some of which we have a hard time finding bones for as it is, like the black bear.
How many Sasquatch do you think exist in America, or you know, in the Western Hemisphere? Perhaps they travel.
I have absolutely no clue. I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Well, let's make an educated guess.
An educated guess, okay.
You have to have at least enough to keep the population going.
To keep the population going, you'd have to have probably around 10,000.
So you think there's 10,000 Sasquatch out there?
I think there would have to be at least that many Sasquatch out there. I think Bigfoot is a real, touchable, smellable, hearable, tangible, living, sentient being. But
from another dimension.
I'm not saying that they're from another dimension. I'm saying that there's a possibility that maybe that's one of the reasons why he's so elusive, is because he can travel interdimensionally, and maybe not everywhere. Maybe there's portals on the Earth with the ley lines and all that shit. You know, that's a completely different subject. I'm just saying there's a lot of different ideas and a lot of different ways you can think about this thing. And me and Jake are open to all of them.
Well, what about the possibility of just, you know, freak sounds coming from regular things? I don't know. I'm not inclined to just you know, listen and hear something and think I heard it. I know what it is, or I mean, you know, sounds echo, and it depends on, you know, how much fog there is, and what, you know, it can sound like anything, and it can sound like it's coming from anywhere. It's not enough physical evidence. Hearing a sound is not enough physical evidence for me.
See, I don't even want to prove that Bigfoot exists to the world. I want to prove that Bigfoot exists to me. We're putting all this up, okay, for the public. Because
so if you get the Bigfoot footage, are you going to put it up for the public?
It depends on what we get. You got to look at it this way. If there was an open season on Bigfoot right now, it wouldn't matter in the least bit, because no one's gonna fucking get them anyway. I think they have to be omnivores to survive. There's no way around that, I don't think.
So what are they surviving on in the Adirondacks then?
Same thing the deer do, bark and berries. And,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe that's.
So new shoots and stuff like that.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's their diet.
exactly. Yeah. You know, maybe they're really, really good hunters too, and they can, like, you know, live off of partridge and wild turkeys and fucking little small game like that. You know.
Right.
I can't really picture a Bigfoot eating field mice like a coyote or a coy dog.
Right.
Oh, I can picture the little ones doing that for sure. When they're walking from here to there, doing their thing. Little ones are out learning how to hunt, catching stuff on the ground.
Do they have the knowledge to set traps?
Well, we would see some evidence of that.
It seems to me that you have to narrow down what their possible diet is and their possible habitat. That's the place you got to look. You know, I mean, you got to put those two things together. Are they eating acorns and beech nuts? And you know, then you got to be in an acorn beech nut, you know, forest. Or if you think they're eating berries, well, that's probably going to be a little different, a little higher elevation maybe, or, you know, unless, you know, unless they're carrying through food. And then why are they here? I mean, are they here? If they're just moving through, then they could be gathering food someplace else and carrying it with them.
There's an old Indian legend of the Sasquatch that used to have, been known to have a wicker backpack that they used to see on him. And the legend was that the kids, if they were bad and they wandered from the tribe, that Bigfoot would get them and throw them in the backpack and go take them to this cave and eat them.
On the western side coming.
Yeah.
Northville, you mean down here? Down north?
Yeah.
You mean Sacandaga?
Yeah.
What is the prime habitat for Sasquatch?
Like I said before, I think Bigfoot can live off of an enormous, diverse selection of eatery in any habitat, you know.
But so then it's got to be remote, you're saying? I mean,
I'm saying that as long as there's something there for it to eat, it will eat it. You know, when it travels south of here in the wintertime, where is it going? Okay, it's going down into Pennsylvania. Is it going beyond that? I don't know. But there's been, you know, eyewitness accounts of Bigfoot down in Florida. You know, they're going to eat something down in Florida. I think they're going to be able to eat something anywhere they go.
So they don't even have to be in remote areas?
No. Think of it this way. It's like having the animal instinct and ability to live without any homes or any agriculture in the wild with the mind of a brilliant human, all mixed up. So picture a human being with this, with a sixth sense almost, like an animal in the wild where they have exceptional hearing, a great sense of smell, all these other, you know, gifts.
Highly attuned senses.
Yeah, highly attuned senses that animals in nature have, but then coupled with the ability to think like a human, or even, like I said, we don't know if these creatures even exist, but we don't know what degree their intelligence is either.
So have you created a map to outline the search area?
We're working on that.
You got no evidence. You got no nothing there.
On the next episode of BLB, Jake and Adam meet Adirondack outdoor enthusiast Jason Richards. Spending most of his time in the woods, Jason makes for a perfect candidate for a Sasquatch encounter.
It happens a lot. It does. It really happens a lot.
The boys drill him with plenty of amazing questions.
Like, generally, what county or what, you know, what spot?
It was in Newcomb.
Let's see what Jason has to say.
Just didn't really make a lot of sense, the noises and...
Gnarly dude.